Hello guys, I Arabinda. I am back with another interesting SQL interview question series. So today's topic will be on the late code game analysis for set of questions. So basically, I have taken this problem statement from the late code questions, and this question series is having four number of problem statements. So we'll go through one by one. So let's jump into the question first. So question one is write a SQL query to report the first login or date for each player. Basically, we have an activity table. In the table, the player ID, we have four different column. One is player ID, device ID, event date, games played. So we have the information of the player, each player. They are having one player ID, device ID, and the event date and the games played. So in from this table, we have to write a SQL query to report the first login date of each player. Report the first login date of each player. So basically, we have to write a SQL query where we have to find out the first login date of each player. So how we'll solve it? So let's jump into the SQL Server Management Studio, and we'll try to find out the solution here. So basically, we have a table. We have an activity table. Let's run it, and we have to find out the first login date of each player. So what I will do, there are if you have, there are two basically ways to find out. Either you can use the group by, otherwise you can use the analytical function. So I will go through the analytical function. So select player ID, select player ID, comma, and we have to get the first login date of each player. So minimum of event date. Event date is the column where this date field is there. Event underscore date, and we will use the partition by clause here. So we will use the partition by player ID, basically partition by player ID, and we'll give some alias that is called first underscore login from activity table. Okay, let's run it to find out. So basically, we have the player ID and their first login. So if we'll go through this one in the original table, so player ID is 1. When did first logged in? First logged in is the 1/3/2016. This is the first logged in. And suppose the player ID 2, there are two logged in is there. One is 25th 6 2017, and another one is 25th of 09 2017. So first logged in is 2506 2017. And for the for the player ID 3, he logged in the 2nd of March 2016, first logged in, and the next logged in happened on 3rd 2018. So we have to find out the first logged in date of each player. So that's the reason we are using the minimum of event date partition by the player ID. So basically we will use the over by clause partition by and first logged in from the activity. So now if we run this one, so you will see that for each row this partition by clause will execute. So that's the reason we will able to find out the, like we will able to see the duplicates of this one. So to get the exact one, we'll use the distinct keyword. So it will eliminate the duplicates basically. So for the player ID 1, the first logged in date is 1st of March. So in the same fashion, for the player ID 2, the first logged in date is 2506 2017, and for the player ID 3, the first logged in date is 2nd of March. 2nd of March, yeah, 2nd of March 2016. So if you have the better solution apart from this solution or the better approach, please do comment in this video, so that it will be a great contribution to the data community. So we'll go through the second part of the question. So in the sense second question, So let's jump into the second question is. Second question is, each row is a record of a player who logged in and played the number of games, possibly zero, before logging out on the same day using some device. So here the question is, the ask is, write a SQL query that reports the device that is first logged in for each player. So basically we have to find out the device ID along with the player ID where the player first time logged into that particular device. So let's jump into the SQL Server Management Studio. So here, if I will, so here what I have to do is I'll just copy this one, and what I'll do, I'll create a common table expression to hold this record. So with we'll give some alias. First login T, suppose as. So here what I'm trying to find out is, so here we have a result of when the each player first time logged into the device. First time logged in of each player when they have first logged in. So we have to find out the respective device ID of these players. Suppose if we'll go through this one, suppose I'll just see. So and I'll I'll keep all these two tables next to each other so that we'll have better comparison. Okay. So now this is the first. This is the table where we already have the result when the each player first time logged into the system, logged into a device, and this is the original table. So for each player, they have the respective IDs, first device ID. So the player ID 1, he logged into the device 2 on this date. So the first device ID of the player where he or she logged into the system is device ID 2. And for the player ID 1, same player ID, player 1, he logged into the device that is 3 on some another day. So for the player ID 1, the first device he logged in, that is 2, not 3, because the first because on the minimum date is like the first time he logged in on the first of March 2016, and the second time he logged in to the 2nd of March 2016, and third time he logged in to the 3rd of March 2016, but into the another device that is 3. So for player ID 1, first time logged into the system on 1st of March 2016 on the device that is device ID 2. So likewise for the player ID 2, he logged into the first time he logged into the system that is 25th with the help of which device ID 3 first time. So we are trying to find out the device ID first time, the device ID of each player where he logged into the system for the first time. So what do we have to do now? We have to join this table with the help of event date and the player ID to get the respective device ID of the player ID. For that one, what do we have to do? We have to join this table along with the original table. So what I will do is, I'll just mention as a FL something, first logged in. I'll just mention A here. Let's remove it. So what are the required things are there? So we need basically we need FL dot player id, fl dot, we can say event id, event date, and from the activity table we need player device id, device underscore id. From this one, active from this from fl, inner join original table, that is activity on a dot, we can say player id is equal to fl dot player id, and now we will able to get it with the we will not get basically we have to mention another condition, that first logged in date, fl dot event date, fl dot event date is equal to, from the activity table, a dot event date. Okay, so if you let's run it to find out that. Okay, so for the player 81, first time logged into the system is 1st of March 2016. The device ID is 2. For the player ID 2, first time logged into the system on 25th 2017 with the help of the device ID is 3. In a similar fashion, the player ID 1, first time logged into the system, that is the device ID is 3 on 2nd of March 2016. So basically what we are trying to do is here, again I am trying to explain it. We have already we have derived the first time logged in of each player along with the player ID and the date, where it's reflecting the each player when it logged into the system first time. We'll join the table with the first time login table with the original activity table to get the respective device ID of the player. So we'll join the both the table with the first time logged in date and the with the help of player ID column. And so this is the question number 2. So let's jump into the question 3. So the question 3 is basically, the ask was, write a SQL query that report of each player and date how many games played so far by the player, so that total number of game played by the player until that day. So basically it's asking is how many games played so far by the player, that is total number of games played by the player until that day. So here basically the ask is we have to find out. So here we have to find out. So if you'll see the ask is here, you have to write a SQL query, a total number of games played so far until that day. So on the first of March 2016, the player ID 1 already played 5, and on second, total, what will be the total, that is 6. So here the ask is it should be the cumulative one by the date wise. So on the first, that is 5. On second, it should be cumulative of 5 plus 6, 1. Sorry, 5 plus 6 is 11. And on the third, 5 on the third, 5 plus 6 plus 5. So that should be 16. So let's jump into the one. Let's jump into SQL Management Studio to get the answer. So what you have to do is select. You have to mention the player ID. Mention the player underscore ID, comma, sum of the player, the column name is games underscore played, so we'll use the over by clause. We have to do the partition by, use the partition by player id, partition by player id, order by, in which order we have to calculate this one. You have to order is the event date basically, and we have to mention one rows between clause, rows between unbounded proceeding, and current row. Basically, rows between is a clause. It will calculate the lower bound and the upper bound, and it will be calculating the unbounded rows between unbounded proceeding. That is a by default. Basically, it is a by default one. The rows between unbounded proceeding, whatever the rows is there before the current row and the current row, and the current row in the sense just the current row, and from the activity table, let's run it. Oh, proceeding PRE, sorry. Okay, so I'll just keep alias games played so far, games played so far, played for something. Let's run it now. So see the player ID 1, the player ID 1 is 5. So if I'll mention the games played so that it will be better understanding. See, player ID 1 on games played is 5. So player ID 1 on the second date, on the second event date, it has been played 11 so far. So it will be okay. I'll mention the event date also here for the better understanding. Again, let me be the event date so that we will able to understand what's happening with the help of this rows between clause, by the help of the rows between clause. So see on the first partition by player ID, we have mentioned we have to partition by the player ID, order by event date. So order by event date in the sense by default it will be taking the ascending order, and rows between clause it will find it will partition that particular rows. So the lower bound will be the unbounded proceeding, and the upper bound will be the current row. This is basically it will calculate the calculation in between these upper bound and the lower bound basically, and it's by default 1 when we will mention the rows between. And let's see. So if 5 plus 6, it will be basically a cumulative sum. 5 plus 6, it will be 11. 11 plus 5 equal to 16. So it will stop it now because we are having partition by the clause of player ID. So it will again start with the player ID 2, it is 1, and 1 plus 4 equal to 5, and again it will stop because due to the partition by clause. And for the 3, it should be 0. First is 0, and 0 plus 5 equal to 5. So we have to find out this one, and let's jump into the question 4. This is a little bit of a tricky one, but it's not that much tricky. So let's jump into the question first. So write a SQL query to that report the fraction of the player that logged in again on the day after the day they first logged in, and they first logged in, rounded to the 2 decimal. In other words, basically what you have to do is we need to count the number of players that logged in for at least 2 consecutive days starting from their first logged in date, then divide the number by total number of players. So basically here we have to find out the player who logged in consecutively for 2 days. We have to count this number of players, and we have to divide that number with the total number of players. Okay, and we have to round it to the 2 decimal. So just for the instance, player ID 1, he logged in the first, logged in on the second, logged in on the third. So it logged in for 2 consecutive date. Okay. So here we have to find out these kind of players who logged in for 2 consecutive dates, that is player ID 1. So the count of this player ID divided by total number of players in the table, total number of distinct basically player ID from the table. So 1 by 3, it is 0.33. So the expected output is 0.33 as we are rounding up to 2 decimal places. So let's jump to SQL Management Studio for the solution. So first what we have to do is, first we will basically we'll trying to find out the first as usual the first logged in date, first logged in date. We can do it by here instead of this one. We can do the group by also. That's fine. I'm doing with this partition by clause. And okay, okay, okay. So first what I'm just trying to comment out is first login dates, first login date of each player, and we'll continue this common table expression to hold the intermediate result. And now we'll we'll find out the consecutive players basically. So n consecutive and consecutive players. Okay, H. So how we will find out the consecutive players basically? So now we have to find out the consecutive player. How we will find out the consecutive player is, we have to basically we have to join this first login table with the original table where we have to find out the consecutive players. So let's see how we are trying to achieve it. So select player underscore id comma first logged in table from first logged in table comma we need only in the player id. Maybe we can get it from the activity table. I will just from this one inner join activity table. Inner join activity table will give the alias at small a, and on what condition we are trying to join is a dot player id is equal to custom logged in dot player underscore id, and data diff function we will use to calculate the consecutive date. Data diff, and we need day, and here the from the first logged in table we will use the first logged in comma from the activity table we will use the event date, use the event date, it should be equal to 1. Okay, so if we will just run it, don't require a dot, we will run it from the consecutive player from, let's run it. Okay, player id is 1. So here what I'm trying to do is we are trying to join the first logged in table along with the original table, that is the activity table, with the help of the player ID, and the we're trying to find out the data diff day, the first logged in date from this table minus the event date. It should be the difference should be the 1. So if what I'll do, I'll just run it here and it I will put it next to it so that it will be a better understanding here only. I'll just add one more column here so that I will keep it to the next to this one. Then I will delete price. So this is the first time login table. Format in a way. That's better now. Yeah. So see, this is the player ID table and the first time logged in table. From here, if we are trying to join the table with the player ID and the first logged in date, so this first logged in date minus this one, it should be the, if it is 1, then it should be the considered as a consecutive days. See here, this one minus this is 1, right? So here that means he logged into the system for 2 consecutively days. So in this way, that's the reason we are using data diff to find the difference in between the first logged in date and the event date from the activity table. So this is the motto this is the thing I'm trying to say you guys. So here, so that's the reason it's coming the player ID 1. And now what I will do is I will just count distant distant player ID from this table, and now also what I will do is cast, as I need the 2 decimal of the in the result set. So count, this is as, I'll just convert it to the float. Okay, I'll just convert into the float, and I'll do one thing. I'll just copy it, I'll just divide, I'll just paste it here, and I will just count distant player ID from the activity table, the main table. Okay, and here what I will do is also select past. It will convert this one as decimal, because I will convert into the 2 decimal places as fraction. I'll give some alias to this table, and what I will do is I'll just the open and close parenthesis here. So now it is coming as expected. So there was little bit of an additional closing parenthesis in this one. So be careful when you are using this opening and closing parenthesis. So let's run it to find out then let me explain you once again for the better understanding. So here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to count the distant player ID from the consecutive player table. Then I am using cast function to convert this integer to float, and I am just giving one opening and closing parenthesis of this statement basically. We'll see here. See, now I'm just opening, I'm giving one opening and closing parenthesis, and in the similar fashion, we'll see here. I'm just using opening and closing parenthesis here, and then what I'm so this is also select cast count of distant player ID as plot. I am trying to convert this distant player ID from the activity table. So this 3 will be converted into 3.0, and this cast will be converted into 1.0 0, and then after, what I'm trying to do is, when it will divide, I need the decimal up to 2. So that's the reason again I am using the cast function. So I'm just doing all this I think this thing till this part to converting to decimal. So that's the reason this opening parenthesis and this closing parenthesis will work as a decimal, 10:2, and I'm just giving the whole table, whole things into the one alias, that is edge column. So as column as fraction, so whatever you want to defill as final output also, that's fine as per your understanding. So if we'll run it now, bit of lengthy code it is, final output. So what I'm trying to do is, again here I'm trying to find out first is in the with the help of with this first login underscore t, I'm trying to find out the first logged in date of each player, and from the second common table expression consecutive player, I'm just trying to find out the on that the player who consecutively logged in into the system consecutively for 2 days, and in the next one I'm just trying to divide the count. One, basically this is 1 because player ID 1 is there only, and total number of count is a total number of distant count of player from the original table is 3. There are 3 distant players are available, and I'm just converting 1 by 3.33. I'm converting the decimal up to 2 decimal. So basically this is the approach. So if you have any better approach from this, like apart from this, please do comment in the video section. It will be a great contribution to the data community. And if you like my video, please do subscribe and like my video, and do share with your friends, those people are interviewing. And if you have any further question, also do comment in the video section, so I will try to cover all these questions also. And thank you for your time.